Hello Texas from India, Mumbai. Welcome to my training Offensive Embedded Exploitation, getting your hands dirty with embedded and IoT security testing. So get started with agenda. So agenda for this talk is, first we will have an introduction, then we will set up our machine, then we will see how to perform a reconnaissance for embedded and IoT devices, then we will move towards showtime like firmware analysis, and then getting hands dirty, that is dynamic testing, and lastly we will touch base our fuzzing, reverse engineering and exploit development section. Okay, so get started. Let me introduce myself. Kaustubh, also known as Security Beast. I am a product security researcher. I love embedded and IoT device security testing. I have a dozens of CVEs. Dozens is almost 2 dozens of CVEs. That is around 24 CVEs in embedded system. And I like to share my knowledge. So I spoke at multiple conferences. Okay. Now let's get introduced with IoT. IoT in action. So many industries started using IoT in a wide manner. IoT is taking over the world. So like every industries are using IoT, humans are using IoT, even animals are using IoTs. So let's see, I have classified this, I taken source from somewhere. So let's see IoT in action. Manufacturing industry started using IoT, government also using IoT. Mobility and Wi-Fi is the key element for IoT security testing. And smart digital citizens, that is us, that we are using IoT. I'll tell you how. Then health is the key component for IoT security testing. And agriculture industry, smart building, smart transport, these all industries are using IoT. So let's see how they are using. So manufacturing industries want to improve the product quality and want to less the errors in product, and in timely manner they want delivery. So for all these sections they are using IoTs. So just one test case for manufacturing industries. Let's say there is an ice cream vendor who manufactures liters and liters of ice cream, and they stores that complete ice cream in a warehouse where there are chiller kind of freezers are there, where they stores their manufactured ice cream. So one small case here is they brought one small IoT device which takes input from electricity and temperature and power supply, that is electricity, temperature monitor, and this inputs it take, and it will notify if power cut is happened or temperature is increased for that storehouse. So warehouse having thousands and thousands of freezers, and if one chiller or one freeze got disconnected from electricity supply, or somehow it malfunctioning and it's not working, so it becomes a tedious task for warehouse managers to monitor each and every fridge. So this small dongle takes input, it sees temperature is correct, okay, temperature is increased, it will create an alert sent to IoT platform, and that IoT platform will instantly send a message to the warehouse owner. That warehouse owner will come to know that okay, dongle number XYZ, it is mounted at this location, this freeze is not working. So he can immediately send someone and take action and save the complete ice cream from getting waste. So this is one just a small example. In many things they are using such kind of stuff. Now government, we all have a street light in city. Those are continuously on. So one company, Quicktel, have demonstrated their a narrowband IoT based dongle. So what it takes, it will sense if someone is passing through the road, and if someone is passing, then only it will turn on the light, and rest of the time street light will be off. So that saves lots and lots of electricity. Like not all streets are always busy. Some streets are occasionally someone is passing, but lights are still on. So like keeping all hundreds and thousands of light turned on for no reason make no sense, right? So it says that if some vehicle is passing, then it will only turn on the light. So this is how government can make our city smarter by implementing IoT stuff. Mobility and Wi-Fi is a key stuff, because one interface called narrowband IoT interface, it is provided by mobile telecommunication provider, mobile ISPs. Smart digital citizens, we have smart wears, smart watch, we have smart glass, we have everything becomes smart. Like we almost everyone have fancy gadgets like smart TV we use, smart fridge we use, and I don't know whether smart washing machine is also present in your might be present at someone's place. Smart door locker we are using. So we citizens are becoming smarter, and we started using these smart things. Then health. The one commanding example for health IoT is I read about IoT ambulance. So sometimes hospital may be in sufficient distance, so where it takes time to reach a patient, and sometimes patient might need a immediate treatment. So what this ambulance does, when the patient enters inside the ambulance, some sensors get planted on his body, and those sensors immediately present a health status to the doctor, assigned doctor, and immediately doctor can start treating the patient. So based on his heartbeat, based on his blood pressure, based on the body condition, doctors can start treating them. So health plays major role in IoT. So like medical devices is like most key component in IoT security testing. So smart agriculture are like here in some areas there is a electricity cuts due to power shortage, or sometimes we call it load shedding. So what happened is like sometimes power came at night, and at that time farmer have to run there. So we can do a smart farming. So one sensor can be created which will sense the dryness of the soil, which sense the environment, what is the current temperature, and based on it will turn on the water pump. So if the soil is dry, it will automatically turn on, and it will give a certain water level to the farm. So this is how smart farming can be done. Smart buildings, I have excellent example in next slide. Power grid is becoming smart, so like no electricity guy need to come at your place and take the readings and how much electricity you have utilized. So basically they implement some smart sensors, it will automatically send the reading to the electricity provider. And for smart transport, we have a Tesla, excellent example, complete automated car. So these are the IoT, industrial IoT, and this IoT stuff we industries are using, we are using, everyone is using. Now there is something called inhuman IoT. So those parts will sit inside the body. For example, you can see here, it's a insulin pump, it's a pacemaker, where cardiac pacemakers here. Then this collar implants, then gastric simulators, then first drop implants, foot drop implants. So many things are there which resides inside our body. So with the smart with the pacemakers, you can set the heartbeat. Not much into medical stuff. And with insulin pump, let's say you have a child diabetic patient who can't take insulin shots on time, so you can remotely give her insulin shots on time with specific time. So this is inhuman, inside our body IoT stuff we can see in the market. Apart from this, IoT for others, like one company is developing a smart belt. So like everyone loves their pet, so you just tie that belt to their neck, and that belt will start analyzing your pet. Let's say if he got a fever, then he will immediately notify you that body temperature is high. Based on their behavioral patterns, it will generate sun alert, like if pet is not well, if he is feeling lost, like those kind of activities. So related to animal treatments, it will generate an alert and send it to you. So this is how IoT is everywhere, like inside body, outside body, in industries, and for everyone. So IoT is used everywhere. So let's take a look at example. Those who is wearing headphones, request you to lower down the volume.
精灵，关闭窗帘。天猫精灵，打开电视。天猫精灵，
主人，你说。
我需要一瓶水。
好的，服务员会尽快送来饮用水。机器人正在执行配送任务中，进入电梯。
The self-check-in machine, like the guest mobile check-in, like the robot service and Timogenes voice butler. The purpose of this kind of service and technology is to improve the efficiency of the service and the consistency of the service quality.
您可以取出物品了。
I would definitely like to go a visit and check in this hotel. Okay, so like as he said that it improves the service quality as well as maintain the persistency in the service with the help of technology, because there is a zero human error. Okay, now let's with great power, great responsibilities do come. Let's have a look at some IoT hot news. Have you heard about a witchcraft? Like those black magic guys use a switch to kill someone. No, my grandparents used to tell us the stories, but I don't know whether it's possible or not. But yes, with definitely IoT can do it. Here you can see the first hot news: medicine pumps and pacemaker threat as a doctor simulated hacked overdose. So like insulin pumps, I fired 100 ml shot in your body. It's gonna take a long, but if I can control a pacemaker, if I set a heartbeat to 500, no one can save you, right? This become a critical aspect. So this kind of devices should be get tested thoroughly by world security leaders or world security experts. So hackers break into smart home, play inappropriate music and communicate with a resident via camera. You buy a product for surveillance. Now product become a hacker's spy gadget for you. Isn't it critical? Definitely. Mirai based botnet turns IoT devices into proxy server. So like here the devices means millions of devices. It becomes a literally army of devices. It can attack on anything. I always feel like somebody is listening to me. So you buy, again same story. You buy a camera for surveillance and it becomes a spying. That camera is listening to all the conversation and it is sending to the server, malicious server. No privacy at all. No comments on this moment. And lastly again, FDA recalls nearly 500,000 pacemaker over hacking fears. Super critical issues. So this is how IoT works. And this is how IoT security testing and embedded devices testing is super critical. Before we start, this video is these opinions and this video are completely owned by me, and this video is purely for educational purpose. Disclaimer. So my study for this talk is how can this decent looking IP phone changes into a botnet. You might be wondering why you are targeting an IP phone. The reason behind this is every large corporate have almost 10,000 to 20,000 IP phone based on their employees. Let's say an organization having 20,000 IP phones. That means if you are able, generally these all IP phones are become from they use from one vendor or one brand only. So if you are able to compromise one IP phone, then you are able to compromise 10,000 IP phone or 20,000 IP phone or 50,000 IP phone. Now, one organization having 50,000 IP phone in one city, you target 5 organizations of same kind. So you have 25,000. 2.5 lakhs IP phone. So like similarly, if you target a country, it becomes millions of IP phone. Especially like a business like KPO, BPO, they have IP phones only. Their business is based on that. So if you are able to target one IP phone with one 0-day or 1-day exploit, which can be a RCE, So you can create a millions and billions and trillions of IP phones army. Basically these devices are running a Linux only in backend. So let's see how can we achieve this. So, and if that millions and trillions of IP phone will attack on one server, it will be a nightmare. It will be a nightmare like for anyone, like Facebook, Google, Twitter, any big service provider websites can be down with this. Don't you think? It's a super critical issue. So this is how, so let's see how can we do it. So before we start with this, we have to, what we have to do? We have to get our stuff ready, like we have to get our machine ready. For getting started, generally I heard from many people that I want to start with IoT and security testing, but I don't have budgets to, I don't have budget to buy expensive products. So when I heard about this, like what expensive products? So what do you need before we start, right? For pen testing web application, all you need is one burp suite and one browser. That will be sufficient for a average pen tester. And Python is always there. Okay, so similar way, what hardware we do need actually, and what softwares do we need? That phase we are calling as a preparing the arsenal. So we are setting up our machine in this talk. So I have categorized this in two ways. One is basic setup, another one is advanced setup. So let's see what we need for a basic setup. This all, as you can see, only these things we needed. First thing we need is the Linux. So why Linux? Someone might get offended that I use Windows, but why we need a Linux here? We need a Linux because of QEMU. QEMU runs smoothly on Linux, and with QEMU you can emulate all possible embedded architectures on your CPU. Let's say ARM architecture, let's say MIPS architecture. Generally these devices are based on either MIPS or ARM. So like you will rarely see Atom kind of processor in embedded system. Generally this kind of ARM and MIPS rules the world. Okay, and some like Cortex, MediaTek processor, Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, but basically architecture remains the same. It works on RISC mechanism, not a CISC mechanism. So Linux provides a smooth integration with QEMU, and it helps a lot for emulating your binaries. Okay. Secondly, provides a lowest level access to the operating system. So like if you connect one random device to Windows without driver, it will remain an unknown device till you identify the driver for it. But similar way, if you connect one other device to the same device to the Linux, in dmessage it will at least show you the device type, device ID, and the manufacturer for device, and some more additional information in dmessages only. So Linux provides the lowest level operating system, good for fuzzing, and reverse engineering also can be good at Linux, and you can write a Python script, multiple Python scripts you can write, and huge community support is available. So like if you connect anything to Linux, it will give you at least something about that product. So that's why we need a Linux. I generally prefer a Debian. I use Kali Linux with a i3 Windows manager. Okay, you can see here a JTAG. You are not an electronic guy, we are a security professionals. Why we need a JTAG? Because JTAG is the de facto standards for embedded system testing. A product security test, not product security, a product testing. Some devices might not have any way to interact with the device, but definitely you will find a JTAG there. So like some might not have a USB port, UART port, or LAN port or WAN port, nothing to interact, but you will definitely see a JTAG interface there. Sometimes it might not be pinned, it just the points are there, you have to solder the points and you can communicate with it. And when it comes to IoT, it comes to wireless. So like everybody want to go wireless with IoT. So that's why to intercept those requests, we need a API modem. So like to sniff for Zigbee, Z-Wave, this kind of stuff, you need a API modem hardware. And connectors. Seriously, you are life. Life is hell without these connectors. We need at least one LAN card, one WAN card, one Bluetooth interface, and screwdriver set, and the Shkira. This device is called Shkira, which allows you to connect your JTAG, your UART, your GPIO, your SPI. This is all in one. order at least 2 for you, because one might get shorted, so you don't have to be dependent for next shipping. And when it comes to radio frequency, our Great Scott Gadget HackRF is the best, so we need a HackRF. So this is all you need for basic setup from hardware perspective, and definitely this won't cost you more than $1,000 or $1,500. So to get started, all you can purchase this within $1,500 and you can start your IoT security testing. And let's take a look at advanced setup. This lab makes me speechless. I took this from Black Hat slides. So there is no limit for advanced setup. You can grow up up to whatever you want. Okay. Now we have a hardware. Now what softwares do we need? Do we need to purchase some more software? Do we need to spend more on it? No. So here is the weapons which I have shortlisted. First, most important and necessary tool is Binwalk. It is developed and designed by Craig Hefner. It's a all-in-one file system opener, we can say. It have a support for CramFS, SquashFS, then UBFS, you name a file system and Binwalk can extract it. So Binwalk is the most important tool developed by DevTTY's Craig Hefner. Second, we need a Firmadyne. Firmadyne sets up smooth virtualization environment and firmware virtualization, and it also make all dependencies smoother for QEMU. Third, our loved ones Burpsuit for intercepting proxy requests, and Python for automating all your stuff which you have to do on repeatedly. And lastly, the most important tool of IoT testing, that is IDA Pro. So IDA Pro plays the huge role in embedded device security testing, because the without reverse engineering, many things cannot be done. Like you cannot identify a hidden backdoors inside the device, you cannot identify critical vulnerabilities like shell command injection kind of stuff. So this generally you get a binaries. Some binaries are super close source and some binaries don't have main. So it's like proprietary binary and you don't know where to start. So we have to understand those binaries used by reverse engineering. Okay, and for that IDA is the best friend. Also, if you can't buy a IDA Pro, you can go with a NSX Hydra and our favorite ones Radar A2. So any reverse engineering tool you can use. Also, some devices might have a Java running, so you can use a JDGUI for reversing, or you can use a JADX. So basically a reverse engineering tool, all we want is. Okay. So once you have set up with this, the most important phase comes, that is recognition. In this phase, what we have to do is we have to identify our device, what our device is, what are the information that device will give us, and way to interact with the device. So that is all we have to find out. When I got this device for testing, I was just simply wondering what I have to test in this. It's like a IP phone. I connect a LAN card, will make a call, and that's all. But it wasn't like that. It's a deep sea inside it. What we see is just calling. So first thing we have to find is to understand your device. To understand your device, we have to identify the architecture. Get started from the bottomest of the device. What CPU it is using? Is it a MIPS or is it a ARM? What is the architecture of it? Like it's a MIPS big ADN or little ADN. If ARM is thumb mode or normal mode. Then what is the underlying operating system on the devices? Like this we see, all we see is just a one application which is running on the operating system. Similar like a web server, and similar like we use computers. So similarly it's a mini computer. So first we have to identify what operating system it is running. So sometimes it might be a Linux, majorly it's a Linux, 99%. Some might be a MCUs which is hard coded with a code. Some might running with Android. Nowadays devices are coming with a huge Android support, like a smart TV is complete Android. Then some car products are Android. Either it has some components from Android and some from Linux. Sometimes it's just a pure Android and sometimes it's just a pure Linux. So we have to identify which operating system it is running, which flavors of operating system it is running. Then So you have identified the architecture, you have identified the operating system. What next? So next is something like ways to interact with a device. Am I missing something? No. Like you have to identify which, generally BusyBox helps us a lot in this. BusyBox provides init-rd and kernel for this. You have to identify which kernel it is running, because it is important to escalate a privilege after having a limited access on the shell. You might be needing need to know what kernel it uses, and yeah. So this is from the architecture and device point of view. Second, you have to identify the ways to interact with the device. Does this device support a LAN communication? So you can connect a LAN card and take a console or shell of it. Does this device support a UART communication? It have a GPIO communication. Some IoT specific interfaces, like does it talks over NB IoT only, or it supports normal telecommunication also? It supports a SIM communication, and it have a serial interface, and means what max it can have. Like one device was there which I have tested. It have only way to interact is a USB stick. You will not believe, but sometimes it worked. Like there were very limited commands were there on commands were getting executed. It was a complete closed source operating system, and you have to create one file inside the USB drive. You have to connect it. It will detect a USB drive. It will run that file, and based on that file, it will give you a system information. Let's say if you create a file hash exclamation slash like ps-aux, for example, then you connect that USB stick. It will write the output of that ps-aux in text file in same USB stick. If you put a firmware upgrade, you connect the device and it will automatically start upgrading. So similarly, our set-top box, what we have, a cable set-top box, non IP based set-top box, generally these kind of devices communicates over USB only. Some devices works with a SD card, similar way. So means you have to gather as much as possible information from this. You can you see that CE here? This CE. So this is a FCC ID. To know a product complete details, you can check a FCC ID of that product. So there is one number written on it. You can visit FCC ID website, and there you type that number. It will give you all possible information, like its internal, its external, what modules it have, whether it supports a Bluetooth, whether it supports a Wi-Fi, whether it supports BLE communication. This kind of stuff is also available sometimes on FCC ID. So first thing is to know your device, and next step is documentation. You should be always like this. I want more. Give me all possible documentation, like product sheet of the document, data sheet of the document, your QA report of the document, case study document, why this device is in use, and manuals of the document. So as here you can see this device from the device data sheet. I have taken snippet of the protocols. Sorry. Here we can see this device supports SIP version 2 only, and RTP, then STUN protocol, SDP protocol, SNMP version 2 protocol, TR069, TR101, TR98 and TR111 protocol. So from this document only some guys might be able to find out the vulnerability. Like since this device doesn't support SIP, TLS and SRTP communication, if your boss is talking to his boss regarding your appraisal, you can just sit inside the EPBX and IPBX, snip those packets, and you can listen what he talk about you. So this kind of MITM attack you can perform. Okay, and the user manual, unless you provide me your user manual, I will not start a testing. This user manual tells many things, like this device supports a firmware upgrade, it have a web management interface, it have password management, local and remote syslog, auto provisioning, it supports HTTP, TFTP and HTTPS protocol. This IP phone, our IP phone only. Okay, SNTP time synchronization and multi-user level. So this device have a multiple users, like admin, support, tech, debug, engineer. This kind of users generally you find in a embedded device for logging in. using telnet, SSH or ISFTP. And I heard you like algorithms, so I use an algorithm to pick an algorithm to generate an algorithm. So you're thinking, what is the role of algorithm here? Okay, so let's say a router, a typical router having a Wi-Fi, and that Wi-Fi having a password. So how you think that password is getting generated? Someone is generating a password from backend and writing it and maintaining it? No. These passwords are generated using algorithm. So if you have hardened the device, if device is 100% secure, but if the password is weak for Wi-Fi, if the algorithm to generate a password is weak for Wi-Fi, then what? There is no use of product security testing, right? If it is calculating MD5 sum of the MAC address as a password, will it make sense? Or first 5 digit of MD5 sum of the MAC address, if they are using as a password, is it safe? No. Once you reverse the algorithm for generating password, you can simply sniff any MAC address nearby you, and you can calculate and you can generate your own password. And most of the cases, people don't bothering changing these passwords a lot. Sometimes they may. And a magic number everywhere. So magic number presents in all devices. So what do you think this magic number is? What do you think about this magic number? So magic numbers are some kind of secret codes. So like we use the *#06# to print a IMEI on phone. So this is a magic number, not this. So device have a functionality which it works for a consumer. But if device is not working, you took device to the service center, and what magic they do, and they get your device started without a hardware repair. They enter in special mode of device, that is called a debug mode or engineer mode, and that can be enabled via entering some magic key. For mobile, some people calls it a boot key, some calls it a secret number, some calls it a engineer password. So engineer password is a part of magic key. So like if you access your device and let's say you type something /engineer, it might ask for a password. /debugger, it might ask for a debugger password. You have to enter that magic password, and then will only it works. Some devices might be showing ADB offline or ADB unauthorized. To get this ADB authorized, you have to enter a ADB password. For accessing all these modes, there are specific password, and to enable this mode also there are specific password. So those things are called a magic number. So you have to ensure that magic number generation algorithm should be secured. So like long back in 2006, there was a like 2G was booming and 3G was just coming to India in 2004 to 2006. So they some local ISPs like telecom companies started selling their own modem. So those modems was locked to one particular ISP only. So if someone is offering internet at lower cost, they were not allowing you to use that SIM card in their dongle, USB dongle. So what I did, I studied that device a lot, and I found that there is a way to unlock this device using magic number. And those magic number was calculated based on 3 parts, like IMEI of device, serial number of device, and MAC address of device. So if you enter these 3 in particular sequence and run on algorithm, it was generating a password string to unlock the device. I unlocked the device, I reconfigured it with my I removed those restrictions in device, and I put other SIM cards, and it started working. So this is how we can do a stuff in using magic number. This is how we can encode, decode the magic numbers. So magic number is required, and whenever you are performing a let's say you found a way to interact with device, that is a WAN or LAN, and whenever you are interacting with the device, let's say if it's a LAN, you should perform a full port scan in device security testing, and not 1000 ports, not gonna have standard 1000 ports. So here is a snippet form 1 assessment. I found a port 1380, 4046, 23255 and 41565. So these are totally random ports. So here I found a command injection it was a remote because this port was listening on all interfaces. Here I found a remote denial of service attack. I think I have blogged about this also. Here I found 23255 port remote crash, remotely denial of service attack, and here I found some kind of code injection, code execution vulnerability. This port was opening randomly, so it was between 41,000 to 42,000. So it was picking a random port after boot. Okay, so always perform a full port scan on the embedded devices if it's a network communication. Okay. Hope we are in sync till now. All good. Okay. So let's move towards next phase of the assessment. So generally, when we perform a web application security testing, black box or gray box, gray hat, gray box. Okay. So we have to spend a lot of time on content discovery, and after content discovery, further time for a content analysis to identify vulnerabilities, and lastly, finding appropriate content, like content discovery only. Here we have a privilege to get all the content in front of us, and all the direct codes or compiled binary in front of us. How? Firmware. Every device have its own software. That software is generally termed as a firmware. What that firmware is? Firmware is a file which contains a kernel, root file system, and it's the next slide, and bootloader sometimes inside the firmware. So agenda for this section is what is firmware, how to obtain the firmware, how to unpack the firmware, and finding vulnerabilities inside the firmware. Okay, so what is firmware? Firmware is nothing but a file system, kernel, and bootloader. So a complete root FS generally resides inside the firmware. So firmwares are of two types. One is a full firmware, another is a delta firmware. Let's say you are using one phone, one high-end phone. Its own operating system consumes 3 GB of the storage. Let's say 64 GB phone or 128 GB phone, you might be able to use only 124 in most of the cases. 4 GB used by operating system used by phone's operating system only, right? So now there is a vulnerability, let's say recent vulnerability is PPPD, means PPPD binary has been identified for a critical buffer overflow. Now let's say a manufacturer of that phone want to send a patch for this PPPD binary on your device over the air, like it's called a FOTA system. So firmware over the air, some called it over the air updates. So how you think they are going to deliver you? Are they going to send a complete file system? No, that's gonna create a huge load, and it's gonna take a lot for upgrading a phone, right? So what they do, they create a delta package, they send it to the OTA software or whatever the Red Band, FTACS, many softwares are there, and using that they send that particular package to your phone. So it gets downloaded in MBs and it gets extracted. Some devices is having only a 8 GB memory, 8 GB a lot, 128 MB memory in embedded device. 120 MB is also a lot for embedded system sometimes. Okay, so this is how they for this they create a delta firmware and send it to you. Okay, now how can you obtain this firmware? One, some vendors provide a direct download on their website. You can visit their website and directly download, like D-Link provides, like Netgear provides, many router companies provides a direct download. Second, obtaining from update. Whenever your phone says the new update is available, before downloading that update, set up a MITM communication, man in the middle, set up proxy, click on download. Firmware will get downloaded. You can get that download from Wireshark packages. Okay, extracting from device. So some device might have a UART running. So UART with the username password, or sometimes without username password also present. So you can extract from that device only. And Google Docs is your best friend. You can always type index of or something. And lastly, analyzing traffic. So this is something crucial task. This is something become crucial. So how it becomes crucial? Sometimes one fine night you have charged your phone and you slept, and next day morning your phone is showing the pop-up that phone is restarted. Might be happen with all of you guys. So how you think this happened? Why your phone got restarted if it is having a battery full charge? Most of the vendors provides a silent upgrade. So that silent upgrade will trigger at a night. So at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when WhatsApp backup happens, at that time they send a firmware upgrade. It will patch your device, it will upgrade your device without user consent sometimes, and it is called silent photo only, like without user consent. It's a necessary patches, and it reboots your device most of the time, because of if the critical update is there, it needs a reboot. So you should set up at my home I have set up one proxy server. All traffic from device to my router goes through via proxy server, and I get all the update there only. So like my TV upgrade, my mobile upgrade, my laptop is okay, like I can get it anytime. Like every smart upgrade I generally capture using proxy server. Now you got a firmware, now what? Say just like a monkey testing, type binwalk-e and get extracted and expect for the file system, right? No, that is the most inappropriate approach. So once you get the firmware, what should you do? You should run binwalk. You should first identify whether the firmware is encrypted or compressed. If it's a compressed, you can extract it, okay, but if it's a encrypted, no luck, you cannot extract it. So the first way to start with analyzing is the firmware is encrypted or compressed. So if the when you type a binwalk-e and firmware, you can see some such kind of graph. When the entropy reaches 1, that means firmware is secured and firmware is encrypted with some kind of encryption. If not, then you might see this kind of drops here. You can see this portion is not encrypted. So if the firmware is encrypted, then what? You should give up? No. You should take a hex dump of it, see what are the characters are there. Once I found a password to decrypt the firmware inside the firmware headers. Okay. Once I found a private key to encrypt to decrypt the firmware inside the firmware only. Okay. So you can extract those bytes with a DD. And also you can perform a signature analysis. So you will come to know that whether it's a UBFS, it's a CRAMFS or SquashFS, what is the running. SquashFS you generally found when you extract the firmware. Okay. And once you and if the firmware is compressed, then you can simply extract it with binwalk-e. You should always ask for a decrypted firmware while starting a testing. But in black box approach, there is very least likely chances of getting decrypted firmware. So you can see like if you have a debug over device, or if you find one command injection vulnerability, you can extract the private key to decrypt the firmware from the device and you can decrypt the firmware. So this kind of tricks you can perform. Okay. So yes, some firmwares needs a password. So the updater binary, you should take a look at firmware upgrade binary, and that binary will tell you something like, oh, this is here. And now you extracted a firmware. Now what? You should take a walk on it. Firm walker. A firm walker is a tool by Craig Smith, our car hacking village guy. So he wrote a nice script. It automates the firmware analysis. So what you should look inside the firmware? Obviously, first passwd, shadow file for getting the credentials of the device. Second, you should check for the document root. What document root it have? What are the web files that you can access from the document root? Third, binaries. So binaries are like for all the Linux specific binaries and tools, they use a busybox. 99% you will find a busybox. So just grep-v busybox and rest all binaries are yours. You have to perform analysis on this. And libraries. So might be like they generally you see libcurl is using, libopenssl is using, libexpert is using, libuclipc is using. So these libraries are standard and these libraries are available on the internet. So you can check the vulnerabilities related to those libraries on CV or Mitre or anywhere. Okay. But what if some libraries are proprietaries? Those are designs for the specific application which device runs. So you have to take those libraries and you have to perform a vulnerability research for it, like by reversing, obviously by reversing. And why application binary is needed? Because like in our environment there is a web server and there is an application server, there is a middleware, everything. But in that small devices, how can you host everything? No, right? So this have a web server like Boa web server, Go Ahead web server, and the application logic sits inside the web server only. So you can extract that logic and you can study about that logic and find the vulnerabilities in that pages. So like some ASP files you might be seeing there, so on Go Ahead or Boa server, and those servers you can check. Okay, then all CFG files configuration, all shell script, all certificates, PK certificates, you can check for this. Email addresses are also there, so like you can identify the employees of the organizations too. Okay, so these are the typical vulnerabilities what we find. So what web server device run, you can get the password. Sometimes there is a firmware inside the firmware, like firmware for the core device, and for Wi-Fi there is a firmware. So you can find the vulnerability inside that firmware too. So firmware is inside the firmware. Then you can definitely get the logic of device getting upgraded, as I talked in previous. Okay. Also you can see all the URLs hard coded inside the firmware. So you can see whether your device is sending any data to malicious server or not. Okay. And employee of the company you can find. So this is how you can perform a firmware analysis from the device. You can basically do it like these. All the aspects should cover when you are performing a firmware analysis. Okay,